on?
Yeah, we have Kathleen Grant, Hamburg, Epstein, Rob Patterson, and Jane Oxender.
Okay, well, good evening. Welcome to the Road Advisory Committee. What is the date? November 15th, 2023. So letting you know that there were updates to the packet because we had our board meeting last night, and then, you know, everything was pushed over because of the election. So there's a couple of items, but we'll get to those. So let's call to order at what time do you have?
6:32.
6:32, 6:30. Okay. Roll call.
Kerry.
Present.
Hubert.
Present.
Shields.
Present.
Walsh. Present. Groden.
Present.
Smith.
Present.
Townsend. Present.
Great. Everybody's read over the agenda. I know that Roy did. He admitted it. Any changes, additions, questions? All in favor of adopting the agenda? Sorry.
I'll move the agenda. Support.
Okay. Yeah. I guess so. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comments?
Yep. If you'd like to make any comments, please raise your hand. Pam Boyd, the floor is all yours. I will set a timer. It's 5 minutes.
Thank you, Pam Boyd, a Scio resident. Trustee Kerry, I want to thank you very much for the discussion at the Board of Trustees meeting last night, where you went through everything for the RAC committee. I think that a lot of things that were brought up were pertinent, and I appreciate all the time and effort that you put into that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It was a collaborative effort. We all pitched in. Thank you. Anybody else?
I don't see any other raised hands at this time.
Okay. Let's see. Communications and correspondences. The only thing I could find, I don't think we had any others. I thought this was interesting about the speed limit bill that was passed in the House, because I think you, Roy, had mentioned it from Parks and Pathways. Something about speed limits. Yeah. So it's heading to the Senate. We'll see how if it helps us or not. So unfinished business, G1, road maintenance improvement planning and funding continued. So last night, because the fire special assessment did not pass, there was a mention that we may not have the roads funding on a ballot initiative for next year. They feel that the bus millage is more important because we already have that, and to continue it. So I was thinking that this may give us some time to create a PACER program. I went to the City of Dexter website for something totally different, and that popped up. I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna include it. And they have it, they've been doing this for years. So I think we could do the same thing for Scio and maybe start with a certain area.
The road commission actually does it. They do it. They do it.
For roads, including neighborhoods. So where is that?
On the road commission's website.
For Scio? Okay, I knew they had culverts, but.
Yeah, all the roads. Well,
Okay.
the primary, we used to just do the primary roads, then we started doing the local subdivision roads. So the gravel roads are not done, but all the PACER is only for paved roads anyways. They talked about doing it for gravel roads, but gravel roads are, you know, if you go out there today, it's one condition, you go out there next week, could be a different condition, so gravels are a little harder to analyze. But the paved roads, I think if you go to the website and go to the townships roads, should be a link.
Okay, so then.
They might be a year or 2 or 3 years old, but they've done it every 5 years. It's been a while, but so the data's out there, and then you can, you know, look back and say, what were they 5 years ago, 10 years ago? So the data's out there. You know, it's even if it is a few years old, it's relevant.
How often do they update it?
The primary roads like every couple of years. Subdivision roads is not as frequent. I think it's like 5 years. So that information is out there.
So-
You could just update it too. It's like let's say it is 5 years old, and we know we did, you know, Daleview, we know we did, you know, these subdivisions.
Mhm.
You can just update those 5 projects that we've done in the last 5 years, and, you know,
So we would need to, well, we already have somewhat of a list from the last 10-year SAD, but then there's the gravel roads that have not been done. You know, Bandera, Shevchenko.
yeah, the gravel subdivisions, yes.
Yeah.
Those
So-
have been done once. They were done 8 or 10 years ago.
Okay, but those aren't on the list anywhere. We would need to.
Right, because yeah, the gravel subdivision roads have never really been rated.
Okay,
Because it's the rating system, they looked at trying to create something, but nothing, a statewide thing, but never really. People just couldn't agree. It's more difficult, you know, because like I said, gravel roads today might be, oh wow, great condition. You go out there a month from now, it's like, wow, this road's the worst road I've ever seen.
well, yes, however, if a subdivision has had a gravel uplift, there should be record of that somewhere.
Mhm.
And then we could plug it into our schedule and then. What is that? I've never heard that before.
It's like somebody's cooling us, that's what it sounds like.
But yeah, you could put it into like a data spreadsheet, yeah, exactly. So, you know, some roads have never probably been done or, you know,
That we,
I'm
in our
sure you-
lifetime.
Yeah, maybe it's something that you might live on.
I did find a file for Luella, it was 1985, I think.
Okay. But, you know, and some are more recent, but some, yeah, it's been decades, you know, like the Cottontails, all those roads over there, Robinwood, all those. I'm not sure those are the local gravel subdivisions off of Wagner Road, some of those have been a long, long time, ever.
So we're gonna need a list of gravel roads, neighborhood gravel roads,
So, right.
you know, and then somehow put everything together. I don't know, maybe Chris Bailey, well, you know, he's going, our new IT person, he's got a lot on his plate trying to bring this up, but maybe he could help us with some type of program, or Ian can do it.
Or just ask a question, because I mean, a lot of this data exists at the road commission, so no sense of reinventing the wheel, they've already.
But we need to incorporate it also.
I think it gets back whether we can go forward with the millage or not. We still have to pull the data together to say this is what we should be doing if we're covering. And I think we cover it. It's just, let's keep proceeding. And the board will figure out how they want to handle funding when they get around to it. But we can still pull the data together on the roads.
Yeah, and just be as prepared as possible, so when the, you know, the gates are open, we can move forward.
Yeah.
And, you know, Bob, and Patrick and, Roy, all this information that you've created for the road funding will still be pertinent.
Let's just finish the job and
So, Jillian, do you know how Dexter is doing the pacer? They have citizens doing it, or they hire somebody, or?
You know, they have a planning department, I don't know exactly how, it was just kind of happenstance that I came across this. And as I said, I was looking for something else and this popped up. So I didn't delve into it, I just thought, oh, this is, you know, they have maps of different neighborhoods and, you know, the red and all of that, and I thought that would be kind of cool to have. But I know, are you familiar with Dexter?
Yeah, well, you have to go to get training, so people that do the pacer rating, you go to training class, you get trained, you know, evaluating roads. So I'm guessing either some of their own staff, or they could have their consultant, OHM's their consultant, sort of the same as township. So I know OHM has trained people, then you just drive the road, usually there's 2 to 3 people in the vehicle, you rate them, and then you come up with, you agree, okay, this is a 4, this is a 5, you come up, at the end of the, this segment, you agree, this is this, record it, blah, blah, keep moving along. So that's generally how they're done. So I'm guessing probably they hired OHM or they just had some of their staff trained to drive the roads and evaluate it.
Yeah, and they've been doing this quite a while. They had, at least for the last 5 years on their website.
I know Lou used to do it with somebody from the road commission.
Yeah, Doug Fuller.
Doug Fuller, right, yeah,
But they create their own system,
right.
which I mean, it was fine. If you create a system that's consistent across, that's fine. Sort of when you're trying to evaluate this versus that, they sort of create their own system. But obviously, the PACER is something all of the counties in the state of Michigan are required to do. And they're required to do it on all the primary roads. Some elect to do it on the local roads. So Washington is one that's done on the local roads. But you can look it up. All the road commissions, and cities, same thing, they do the same thing. City of Ann Arbor might do. PACER's just the name of the system, I mean, the evaluation, but Ann Arbor does the same thing. I mean, you're doing, public works, you shouldn't be doing that, evaluating. Then you can make an informed decision when you're spending, millions of dollars. So, but it makes sense, yeah. So we started to collect the data, so when someday we do have money, it might not be millions of dollars, but we do have money, if we could spend it most efficiently and effectively on our road network.
So what else will we need to be prepared for this, the road funding? I mean, we have a list of roads that, I guess for the next 5 years. And I know that Webster and I think it's Lodi or Lima, one of them, when I talked to Adam or Adam, but his boss was Jim, or he replaced
Jim Harmon.
Jim Harmon. Yeah, so they said that there's the 3 townships, they do it by 3s, I guess. And that the other 2 townships already have a 5-year plan, but we don't. I mean, other than what our, SAD was. So they had advised that we do something like that, so they can coordinate between the 3 townships. So if we could go 5 years out, every year, another 5 years or whatever. And anything else that you can think of?
Basically, that's what that one spreadsheet was that, we used to list the projects that we did each year. It basically was, sort of when we passed the millage each year with the projects where that was and I was sort of projecting out. Basically, it's just, what you do 6-7 years ago, you're probably gonna need to do that in year 23 or 24 type thing.
Well, should we break it down because that was for connector roads.
But we do the same type of idea for subdivision roads.
But subdivision, and then the primary, we'll just let the county take care of. But then also, Linda, the DDA, you don't own the DDA, you're on it. I know what I mean, but you have roads, and do we incorporate that? That's what I've been trying to figure out, or not just me, but I'm asking others. So is the DDA going to take care of their own roads, or are we going to, under the road advisory committee?
Well, reality, the local roads, they're just local roads within the DDA. So I mean, they're subdivision roads, but they just happen to be, have a boundary drawn around, which is called the DDA. I guess I'd look at it, there's all local paved roads. Some people live on, some have businesses they live on. I'm sure there's, and if we were to do a millage, they would be paying taxes, the businesses on those roads, just like the residents would be paying taxes. So to collect taxes from those businesses and not fix their roads, I'm not sure we can legally do that. I'm not an attorney, but I'm just saying, you're trying to, if they're paying taxes for fixing roads, then we say, oh, you gotta fund your own road somewhere else, privates, but when they're public roads, I'm not sure we could exclude them. Obviously, it's a legal question, but
Just
logically, it doesn't make sense.
Let's gather the data and worry about that later.
Yeah,
For the residential roads within the DDA or the Jackson Road Overlay District. or for all of the roads in the DDA area in Jackson?
For the local roads, I'd say all of them. Let's get the data and let's worry about splitting things up later.
Because that's been sort of, to this point, we had the local roads millage, and then the commercial roads were treated differently. But we can just change course.
Yeah, well, I noticed in your report, about those, Dino Drive, Enterprise, and there were some other ones that you listed. Yeah, Medi, and I know Enterprise was already done recently, repaving, and I don't remember how that was paid for. Do you, Roy or Linda? It was, I know that they
A lot of
used,
different methods were used to pave different roads in the DDA, so that I can't recall all of
It
them.
was before I joined the
Okay.
DDA, so I didn't research that.
well, the DDA captures 50%, I believe it's 50% of the taxes that are collected in the DDA. So any parcel in there, the DDA, like for any type of millage, so if, except for schools. So then if they parks and pathways, they collect 50%, they get to capture that. So that's where I think, because I know the DDA is talking about paying half of a special assessment for Dino Drive. And I believe they did that with April and Jackson Plaza? This is back in,
Yeah,
when they first started the,
That's, yeah.
so that's where it gets a little confusing regarding the DDA and, you know, trying to figure out, okay, no, or should we just leave that alone for now and just work on the others?
Well, I agree with that. Let's just get the data.
Okay.
We're sort of digging into the details, you know, sort of like, you know, at least if you had all the data, had all the.
Then we can give them details.
Yeah,
That
then-
goes to collaborating
or-
with the DDA.
Yeah, and then, or if they say we're going to take care of the roads there, then we can just eliminate it from our list or maybe keep it on the side for future. Okay,
Are we able to, I don't know that we ever had a soft version of the 2010, the original roads advisory committee put together a multi-page document where they went through and looked at all of the gravel roads and gave them, was a full pacer score, but it was a score.
yeah, that was, right,
But I don't think we ever had that soft. That was given to us by Lou in paper form.
well, there
I'm not
was,
sure if that's
couple of
something we wanna
different-
try and collaborate in. Some of those roads will have changed to be paid since 2010 or 2013, whenever it was done.
yeah, there was 3 different versions for the, that was for the original SAD. But, yeah, I think we still have it, we have it somewhere.
We haven't talked, but at least it could be a launch point. Let's see what the road commission has,
Okay.
as far as
Yeah, I'll
what
check-
we're allowed
I
to
can
have
track it
from
down.
them, what format. And then we
Roy,
got-
you'll.
Yeah, I'll track it down.
So Roy you will track down the WCRC Pacer. And then we need to create a list of neighborhood gravel roads.
Got some stuff here.
Yeah, and then we have to make sure that, you know, if the neighborhood is private, not to include that. And I think, do most of us know what is private and what isn't?
we can
Well, you
find
do,
out.
Roy.
We can find out from the road commission too.
They don't keep a list of private, I have asked, and they said, no, we don't even talk about them. I'm like, okay,
I mean, one way is look at the road sign, yeah.
yeah, right.
I say, or you can probably find it quicker than I can.
Does that help? There's a whole bunch of roads on there. You can scroll with your finger.
What is that?
You came back to me.
Oh.
Agenda.
Forest that you guys.
What did they say?
He's pulled up a document. I'm not sure if it's a document I was just talking about from the original roads committee or if it's a document off
It
the
says last
website of the
updated
roads commission.
2022. And there's like, starts at row number 6, it goes to row number 176, so there's 170.
6 segments, probably, but is also, it should be a map that shows the different colors.
Alright.
'Cause that's what they, you know, you
Okay.
got red, yellow, red, green, you know.
I'll look for the map as well, then
Right.
parallel.
I mean, the only downside is, I mean, PACE is a great system. One is like a failed road and 10 is a brand new road, which only lasts for like six months and it becomes a 9 and blah, blah, blah. The controversy is a road that's rated a 4 is considered poor. But you can drive a lot of 4 rated roads, like, what's wrong with this road? And that's where sometimes it gets a little, it's like, oh, we count the cracks, and there's enough cracks to make it a 4. And so then, to me, it makes the numbers look like, oh, wow, we got a lot of poor roads. But we won't get into those details. We can get the data, get the information.
We need to know how we talk about it when we get there, because people will be saying my score's a 4.
Right. And then the other thing is, once you get all the information, people are like, aren't you gonna fix all the ones first? Ideally, you try to keep the good roads good, because there's certain things you can do to keep the good roads good rather than spending all your money on fixing the poor roads. Why the good roads turn poor.
So the ideal spot would be 5s and 6s?
Right. Keep them in the fair condition. We're never gonna have all good roads. It's, you know, no one in the state of Michigan has enough money to do that, so I don't think we wanna put that as our, you know.
Become a city and then charge 18 mils.
Right. Well, and the city does have all those mills, and the city of Ann Arbor roads are not perfect
They
either,
do that
right?
on purpose so they can pull it out and put in bike paths.
Well, but that being said, then are we hiring the road commission to do the work, or are we going to go back to trying to do Scio Township led projects? So it expands into this enormous discussion of options.
Well, the road commission, from my understanding, would be involved unless it's a private road. Because they have to issue the permit at least. Do they do the work on any road that, let's say, Arbor Point is a good example, because I know that your roads are failing in there. So if we went to the road commission and said, we have this millage money, we wanna pay for the roads in, you know, a better paving, for Arbor Point, would they do that?
Yes.
They would, okay.
Yeah, so like most townships, Pittsfield, Pittsfield, Ypsilanti, Superior, they meet with the road commission, they have money set aside, and they say they'd like to repave 2 miles, 3 miles, 1 mile of subdivision roads. Road commission takes season bids, so they have the big contractors already sort of lined up. And I mean, I think Ypsi last year did $2 or $3 million worth of work in subdivision roads. So those contractors, you know, the big guys, rather than sometimes when we bid stuff, we just bid one little subdivision, you're gonna get a little more of a smaller driveway guy versus the big guy that does I-94. And they're gonna get you better prices because they're bidding in quantity. They're doing $10 million a year in road paving, you know, countywide. So that's the easiest way. I mean, if Scio doesn't wanna do it, they can hire, you know, the local guys, do it, but that's what they do. So it's, you know, most townships just hire them. They manage the project, and they send the township the bill. And if it's a gravel road, for the most part, their own crews just do that type of work. They take bids for the limestone, but their crews do the work. So that's generally how the paved roads versus gravel roads, how most townships do that.
Yeah, that's probably the best way for Scio at this point. Speaking of projects, we hired a project manager, Chris Jane, last night. So I did ask him if he's familiar with special assessments. He goes, no. I said, you're gonna learn though. And
I sent him some stuff this afternoon.
Okay, good.
Getting up the learning curve.
Yeah, so he'll be working with Joyce, and I'm not exactly sure all the projects he will be doing, but I was just thinking if we don't have the road commission do these projects, it's gonna fall under Chris and then OHM, and I think at this point till he finds his legs, that we should just continue with the road commission. And if they can get better prices for us, they seem to be pretty efficient.
Yeah, they're gonna get you the best prices and they're gonna get you the best contractors, so. And their overhead is pretty minimal. And obviously, I can guarantee their rates are a lot cheaper than area consultants. So, yeah, like I said, that's what most townships do, and, you know, it works for them, you know, the bigger townships, I mean, all the townships, but, you know, Pittsfield's at Ipsy, this is Superior, which is comparable to Scio as far as paved subdivision roads.
Okay,
So I have two very different questions. First one, pick up on the discussion about Chris. I was knowing nothing other than what he told me this morning. I was thinking that one of the roles he could play is if we do it this way, as Roy described with the road commission, Chris can be the point person. And that's project management with the road commission and get to know each other intimately. And he goes out to the sites and sees how it's going. And
Yes.
that is a different kind of project management than we were discussing with him getting the bids and all, but very important.
right. Yes, we need somebody, and remember when we were trying to create a SAD policy, we kept coming up against a brick wall because we had nobody to go to, but now we have two. We have Chris as the project manager, and he reports to Joyce, and Joyce is very familiar with SADs and, I mean, just the ins and outs and whatnot. So, yeah, it's exciting.
But that being said, so the remainder of the money that was in the local roads millage is being refunded. And there wasn't, that has happened since the budget for 2023 was established at Scio Township. So there wasn't roads money that was set to the side for road improvement by the township when they established the budget this past spring. So we will have to deal with the 2024 County Road Commission Scio Township road agreement coming up here in January and February without any real funding in our pocket to put forth.
Yes, and there's the grant. I was thinking about that. So maybe there's some type of, I don't know if we still have ARPA funds, like if there's a road that is really in bad shape or a project that really needs to be done. I don't know.
Well, you kind of given the facts that we don't have any budget withheld for road improvements, and we know that the county is going to send us a road agreement. I don't know that they know that. Is there anything we want to tee up to say, you know, this road would be a road that we would prefer to see funding towards, or do we just wait for them to send us the agreement and say, nope, sorry, Scio has no money?
Well, I think we first need, I guess, my direction from the township board, is the township gonna put any money into roads in 24? Because if they're not, we don't have any matching money. So I guess that's a decision of the township board. And I guess if we're not gonna go for a millage of 24, we're not gonna have money in 25 either, right? So we're gonna look at 2 years of
Yes.
no road improvements.
And losing the matching funds.
and
So-
no matching funds.
We haven't had a discussion yet, other than the charge last night and the little side discussions. We do have a new, whether interim PM gap for our accounting, our finance director. Allison is her name, and she has scheduled a preliminary budget meeting coming up soon, I think December 11th. So I can bring this up and see where the conversation goes.
That's with anticipation of the 2024 budget coming up for deadline. But the road commission is gonna want an answer to the 2024 Scio Township agreement before the April 2024 budget is adopted.
Isn't that, do they present that to us in or
It's sort of January.
January, and then they have to have an answer by the end of May?
I think they
But we
get
have
it to us
to,
like in February or March, but then they want an answer by May, right?
yeah, but we have to figure out for our budget for that next year. Okay. Okay. So I'll bring it up, and I think it's December 11th, the 7th or 11th. There's a lot of meetings coming up, so.
I guess to check, is there any ARPA funds available, and would any of those ARPA funds be eligible for whatever type of road improvement we're doing? I'm not sure. Putting gravel on a gravel road would qualify for ARPA? I'm not.
Oh, we were able to, there was something tricky, it was explained, but we are able to use those funds for operation type thing. So we're good on that.
Okay.
Yeah, don't ask me what the technical, because, yeah, if we did it a different way, then we would have lost that money, but we were able to do something, I don't know. You'd have to ask Jess for all those details, but
Okay.
if there is any money left over, we could use it on projects.
It just seems like. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so ask that, also, WCRC agreement coming up January,
It's more like February.
February.
We were talking about pitching them some roads, you know, that were our suggestion towards it. But there's a lot of roads that just weren't dealt with in 23 that probably will come back up.
I think the spreadsheet had projects projected for 24, but that was based on having
23
money.
getting done.
Yes.
The money, I guess you maybe just pick one of those, whatever's on that list.
I guess my
Okay.
point is do we pitch them which one or do we just wait?
No, I think it, rather than them evaluating and giving us numbers for 6 roads and we only have money for 1 road or a half a road, seems like might as well save them some time and energy by letting them know that we have money for a portion.
And I will bring this up to Joyce tomorrow. We have our standing weekly meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
The second question.
oh, sorry,
It's okay.
you're on the other side of Ian,
yes, I
so.
Ian's in the way again. So looking at what happened with the
Stop it.
the fire, firehouse and fire is public safety. I wonder if there's any lessons to be learned for us that we can prepare 2 years on, because we'll have a year or two before we go public, to increase the odds that we succeed.
Yes, have a plan
Yeah.
and be able to explain it simple and sweet. So everybody understands, even, you know, the people that you really don't pay attention.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this.
Ours will be much simpler.
Well, yeah, and it's a millage, so millage language, how a millage works is easier to explain than how a special assessment works. Yeah. Anything else regarding this topic?
Do we want to advise the township at all on trying to do, I can't remember what are the words. They have the right to impose millage for roads improvement and use those funds as their budgeted funds for 2024. But they can only impose up to a certain
3 mils. Yeah.
Do we want to push that suggestion towards them instead of just giving them a number of this?
I will not be in
appears to the amount.
support of imposing a millage on residents without a vote. I'll tell you that right now. So if you want to present that to the board.
I was asking if the committee as a whole should be so that they have all of the information.
We get back to what we talked about. The board's got pretty much 4 choices. There's no requirement to do anything. SAD, which we've already crossed off, they can impose a levy, or we can go to the voters with a millage. It's up to them. We can provide them with, here are your choices. Then it's their call. And we have one known perspective, but again, here are your options.
But I guess my question was, should we present it as here are all the options?
Well, that already came up on May 9th, and they said for us to have a funding options, either for a vote to the people. So is it either a millage or a levy? And we can send a levy or propose a levy to voters. Kathy Noel looked into that.
G2.
We're finished? Any other suggestions or comments on this topic? Special assessment district policy. Yeah, that's pretty condensed. I read through the first couple and then a couple of pages, and there's some things that this was the West Bloomfield. Yeah, so their terminology is a little bit different than what we would use, but and also there is some, it wasn't really making sense, like there was some carts before the horse in some areas, and then they went back, and so we'll just have to polish it up. Did everybody read through it?
No, since wordsmithing, no.
It's a heavy read just because it's like, I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, it's certainly not to like, I mean, the other hand is, I mean, obviously we need to finalize it, but they are so challenging. I mean, I would hope someday, you know, when we want to put something on the ballot, we just do all the roads. I mean, all the public roads, the neighborhood SABs, you know, they work, but man, they are a lot of, you know, work for whoever, even if it's Chris Chang or whoever is in that role. It's more, you know, and then you gotta get all the neighbors support, and then there's still gonna be, you know, probably 30 or 40% of people, at least 30% of people may not support it. And it's a division of the neighborhood, and it's just a tough way to go versus, you know, if you did the whole funding all the roads, everyone knows they're gonna be paying X dollars per year. The road might not get done next year, but at least they know over a period of time, the road's gonna be taken care of. And, you know, it just seems like a lot of work. I mean, obviously, I think we need to finalize it, but I guess I wouldn't strongly encourage neighborhoods to do it unless they are so desperate they wanna get it done.
Yeah, if they wanna go from gravel to paved, but also sidewalks. So we talked about sidewalks last night because I said, we need to figure out, you know, who. So
Stay on the side if we get.
No, because this is part of it. So the sidewalk, if somebody wants a sidewalk in front of their property or in their neighborhood, then that would be a special assessment. So then it was brought up that there's other types of improvements that could happen in a neighborhood, like lighting, that falls under Public Act 188. So they want us to create a policy for any type of special assessment. So in here, how they talked about, we put in roads and sidewalks, but if we just take out that language and just have, you know, special assessment, then they could just use this for whatever else. Because in fact, it could be used for water and sewer to some degree. Could you mute? I think that's, could you mute, please?
Okay.
Jillian, can I just, so you just said sidewalks and lighting, which is a fair coupling, but because Scio is a dark skies township, the planning commission, when they approve a new subdivision or a subdivision, have a specific number of lights that they allow within that subdivision, and subdivisions in the past have gone back saying we'd like more light in our subdivision. They have to go all the way back to the planning commission and get a conditional use variance before they can even address putting more streetlights
Okay.
in place. So that's a little bit more of a loaded.
Well, it's under Public Act 188. So that was just, you know, there's other types of improvements that the special assessment policy could be used for.
Taking roads, getting where Roy is. If the intent is still to go forward, whether it's a year or two from now or whatever, with recovering all public roads, it's really hard to say to a residential area, yeah, do it, and then they find out 2 years into their 5 or 10 year plan that, we would have covered it anyway, you just jumped the gun, but you're still on them.
If the vote's adopted, there's a solid possibility that, you know, it could be put forward and it could be shot down again.
But again,
Yes.
there is always the possibility it gets put forward, it gets approved, and someone did an SAD 2 years prior and it's, oops, sorry. I guess I'm
Like,
looking at least from a roads perspective, we have to be upfront with everyone of this is the intent. If you are desperate, potential consequences this.
And disclose.
And disclose, yeah.
Just-
But I'm also then looking at, you know, we've done the start. Are we okay with broadening it to be special assessment of any sort? Because we've talked about certain things. Does that bring us into the whole fire village or SAD?
no, because that's under Public Act 33, that's a totally different. But no, this is just public improvements under Public Act 188, so it's a general special assessment policy. It should be no matter what, here's your packet, take it back to your neighborhood for whatever it is, sidewalks, swamps, or, you know, lakes or whatever, and then if they follow the procedure, come back to the township. I mean, that's exactly what happened with the road or the water resources when I went through my SAD. They just handed me a packet, read through it, follow the instructions, come back to us, and it's that simple. But, you know, so we don't have to lay it out like roads and sidewalks. It can be in our charge, it says roads and sidewalks but as far as the special assessment policy, it's just a policy.
Question, if it's broader now, and it's everything, should that be on us, or should the township just have one of your consultants do this policy rather than volunteers trying to wing it? I mean, obviously Ian's done a good job, nothing.
It's in our charge.
But, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's in our charge, but there's also, we hire consultants to do this stuff on a professional basis, and I don't know. Now that we're not just doing roads, we're doing all this stuff, and including, I don't know.
It's just a general policy, so every township that does special assessments has a policy. And we're just making this policy as easy as possible for anybody that is considering a special assessment. That's it.
So how many how townships have volunteers write their policy?
Well, we're gonna write it, but then it's gonna go to legal. And then once it goes to legal, it goes back to the board, and then the board reviews it. And I've already been in contact with Mariah, so she did answer one of the questions about Public Act 139 and private roads. So that's another thing we have to incorporate, or private roads. I guess if they wanted sidewalks in their private neighborhood, they could still get a special assessment. But they have a little bit different, no, because Public Act 139 is just for roads, private roads. Anyway, so how do we want to go about this? Just give it to Ian and say, bring it back when you're finished, or no, I'm joking, Ian. Break it down and start at the beginning and do 1 or 2 pages at a time and.
Or agree what changes need making, let me do it and send it out. I'm easy.
It's longer than I thought. How many pages is it?
7.
That's it? Gosh, when I was reading through
It's
it,
just such exciting reading.
and I've read through it
A
before.
lot of it is not controversial, but there are several areas that need attention paid because they're different than how we've handled things in the past, or we're plowing new road here.
No pun intended. Well, okay, so the first couple of pages, now that we have a project manager, some of these, like, okay, this came from West Bloomfield. Of course, they're using Public Act 188 of 1954. So the property owners benefiting from the road paving, so if we mark that off and just put project, or, you know, from the project, pay for the entire cost of the project through an assessment. That's pretty easy. The Wash, did you put in what, you must have put in Washtenaw County Road Commission. Yeah, cause West Bloomfield's under Macomb. Owns public roads and residential subdivisions and neighborhoods. Paving improvements are commonly done through WCRC using the special assessment process.
My
So,
suggestion is, I'm not particularly good at editing on the fly, so maybe we team up with two people and go over it.
okay, that's fine.
We're meeting on the sixth. We have to have everything in
That's true.
on the by the 29th, so it's 2 weeks.
Okay.
Should we just get edited copies to you within a week, so you've got a week to then pull it together?
Yeah.
So comments,
Oh, right, because
we all
we're,
make comments, you've got 7 days to get them to Ian, send them individually.
That's fine. I'm easy, but just sitting here like trying to
No,
do stuff on the fly.
No,
I
Or do-
suck at it.
so do
I
you
know I
want
do.
all of us to go through, or do you want a subcommittee?
Sub would be easier, just 2 or 3 people.
Everybody looks away.
I'm traveling most of the next 2 weeks, so it's really difficult for me to be involved.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, we started on this, didn't we? So
We did.
good. Yeah.
So you're saying we should be done, or are you saying we should finish?
How about you and I work together, do something, and then we'll send it out to the rest of you, and you guys can take a look at it.
I'll make you cookies after you submit it. How about that?
I would love that.
All right.
Me too.
Okay,
Great.
so,
So we just schedule some time. That's no pressure.
okay, so Ian and Patrick will be the subcommittee. And you will send that out to the rest of us for the next meeting. Bob, you said December 6th, right?
29th,
well, yeah, everything's gotta be put in the packet by the 29th.
Yeah.
So
so.
which is 2 weeks. With
yeah.
holiday.
With the holiday weekend there.
I have next week off work.
No, you don't, you're working 5 days overtime, you're really busy, you're not.
Plenty of other stuff to do, yeah.
Yeah, because I would normally send the email out on the 27th and say we need your stuff
How about,
by the 29th.
well, how about not do the whole thing? Why don't, I mean, there's 7 pages, how about is that last page? Yeah, how about do 2 pages? And then we'll just keep going after that.
When?
Just do 2 pages to be submitted by the 29th, the first 2?
Oh, yeah, I mean, we could, let's do 2 at minimum. and
Okay.
More if we can.
Yeah, cause it's the 15th, it's just thrown off because of, the whole,
Yeah,
and I don't wanna put any pressure on you in your vacation week. Okay,
your edits here, you just
well, I have some, but
you just whack in
then
away.
I have to give you, you can have this is from the attorney.
Okay. I mean, that's good because I can do
I didn't-
this pretty quickly.
Okay, take that. Okay,
It would be lovely to have something that could get posted on the website.
I agree.
So that when people ask,
Yeah.
this is the policy.
I agree. I'd love to get it like done and cleared but then what I heard Roy saying a minute ago was, well, it's not really super high priority because of the way we're changing how we do, which I respect. I like that a lot. I'm like totally agree with you, but if we do it and get it done, it's just one thing.
Yep, that'd be beautiful, get it done.
Yeah, all right.
yeah, and I'd love to go back to the board and say, hey, here's the sad policy you've been bugging us about. Okay,
So say
So-
at least 3 pages.
anything else with this subject? No? All set?
Set a target date for trying to complete it by February? Or do we just,
You want a target date to finish it? Would that help you?
finish it when you finish it?
No, I don't like that. I agree with you. I'd like
Well, we do
to-
2 pages each month, then by the end of February, the February meeting, we'll have all 6 pages and submit it at the March meeting.
Or even before that, you know, if you feel, because I think that once there's some language that needs to be changed, and then you just go through the rest and change, you know, like whatever it is. Cause they
Maybe
use,
the February meeting.
they use EIO, which we don't use, and I don't wanna confuse.
Board spends a lot of time in their March meetings on budget.
Yes,
It's coming up in April, so it's already very full meetings before you try
So-
and add anything else to it.
how about February?
EIO. What do you mean EIO?
Look at the front, at the first page.
It's
Go down a little bit.
statement of interest is what.
Yeah, where we could just change that to. Where did it go? Change it to like petition packet or something. I mean, I wrote some notes. Okay, move on. The road advisory committee schedule. So we need to submit this to the township, and I went through and looked at the calendar, and then we have a lot of election dates coming up, so actually there was only 1 or 2 that interfere with our schedule, regular schedule. So January through June, the first Wednesday of the month is fine, there's no other conflicts. And then we get to July, so July 3rd would be our meeting, and of course, July 4th is the next day. So I don't know if, I never take a vacation, so I don't care, I'd show up. But if we want to, cause we had 2 months in this past summer that we didn't meet. Do you want to do that again in the summer? Just keep going?
Because we have no money this year too, next year, so maybe less.
What are we gonna talk about?
in the summer.
I fear that we will have neighborhoods that have come to us before come forward again asking for special assessment districts.
Why don't we just make it July 10th?
Do you have a calendar up?
I can pull one.
But if you're gonna do July, do the following week, I'd agree.
When is, oh, the PPP that you meet at 4 on
Yeah,
the,
4 to 5:30,
and which Wednesday?
second.
Oh, then we could fit that in. Would that be okay with you, a big
We
back-to-back
just spend
meetings?
the day.
That's what we did here.
Okay. All right,
So if I don't
so,
get reappointed, I might not be in either committee anyways by next month, so I want to back me. My term expires, this is my last meeting. And they haven't reappointed. Yeah, it's reappointed, so. Anyway, that's me.
we'll see. None of us, maybe you're. Okay, so I will ask Christie to reserve that, and we're the first committee that has come forward with the schedule, so I think we're gonna get what we asked for, push everybody else out. Okay, August 14th or August 6th would be, that's the primary election, we would meet August 7th, I believe. You have that calendar, I'm sorry.
So we gotta move that to the 14th?
Yeah, it would have to be the 14th because they have 9 days of early voting, and then the day after is a lot of cleanup, so.
What do you?
And what is the holiday in September? We come up against that holiday.
Yeah, no, that one's fine. I checked with that one. August,
What is it
Yeah.
you're looking for? 14th.
wait, what, we meet the first,
The first Wednesday of August is the 7th.
oh, okay, yeah, so, right, it would be the 14th then. Okay, well, we'll have to leave it at that. At the 14th. September 4th,
September.
pardon me?
Bob asked me, Labor Day is the
Oh.
2nd of September in 2024. So this would be the Wednesday after.
Yeah, September 4th, October 2nd. Then again, November 13th is the general election, so that would be November 5th, and we would have to push that to November 13th. And then there's December 4th. That would be the first regular Wednesday of the month. So
So July, August, and November, it's the second Wednesday, and all the other ones are the first Wednesday.
okay, I will let Christy know and request the July 10th. Should be okay. So all in favor? Or do we have a support of, do we have to do that? We need a motion.
I don't know that we need a motion, we can, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, so it comes to the election of officers according to our policy. Which, before we get to the policy, or to that part of the policy, I do have to let you know that when I was going through, I took Ian's draft of the resolution and charges, and then I compared it to, I had to make it easier for the board. So as I was reading through, and then reading through that, transferring over and putting it in bold red, there was a couple of items under membership that had to do, and I thought taking a couple of two of our policies and putting them right into the resolution, and the board agreed. The board agreed, excuse me. So one of them was the attendance. Should a member be absent for 3 or more meetings? Now there is, I have to go in and look at the charge or the membership part of it, but we were able just to put that in. It just made sense because the board, you know, we would have to, if somebody doesn't show up or for whatever reason, we as a committee have to discuss that and then present it to the board for them to decide if they want to have a public hearing to remove that person. So that was included, and then the election of officer. So that's under one of those items. And they agreed that they thought that was more of a resolution than a policy. So we're good on that. And regarding policies, one of my notes that I wrote at the top. So eventually all of us will be gone from this committee, one way or another. So if we could just pass our rules off or our policies and special assessment policies, everything off to the next, they wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. They could change things, but they wouldn't have to reinvent. So we have some items that are yearly, like what we just did with our schedule. So if we could put that into the policy. The other thing is the budget and then the WCRC road list that you brought up. And that way, we don't have to, you know, oh, by the way, this is what we have to do at this time. It's not gonna be thrown on them, they will know. So if we could put that on the next agenda and then include those policy or those schedules in the policy, and then any other thing that you think should be a policy. Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry, let's go back to election of officers will occur at the November RAC meeting for the subsequent calendar year. The RAC at its discretion may choose to elect a vice chair and other positions. So here we are.
You wanna kick us out of the rolls, it's fine by me. I'm happy to keep doing it or not, I'm just.
I'll nominate Bob Groden for chair.
You're trying to punish me?
Oh, so you do admit I've been punished.
It's not that easy. It's not terrible, but requires some thought.
Yeah, and it's been helpful that Patrick and I have been on a schedule. Yeah, and I thank everybody for getting your items in at a certain time, you know, the minutes over to Christy and all of that. It's really, really been helpful. And Christy appreciates it. She's got a lot on her plate. Okay,
Are either of our secretaries willing to run again?
Pass at this point.
yeah, Bob, you have, maybe transferring?
There's a possibility.
So I am willing to continue in the role I've been playing for the last year, which is really kind of staffing you. But I really don't want to do both admins. I'm sorry,
He's co-secretary.
co-secretary again, yeah.
And I think that's worked out between the two of you, hasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a big job on its own when you're doing both.
Yeah.
Who's willing, and the other thing is, we are short, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2. 2. Remember Don Nichols left and we did not, and Jeff Human,
Says 8.
8 plus a board liaison, so it would be 9, and we need to have an odd number. So we could wait until we have 2 new members and then
So
take
I wanted
another,
them to be secretary. Well.
or chair, maybe they wanna jump in and be chair or vice chair, or what do you think?
Are the people who are currently in place willing to serve for a couple more months?
Yes, if we need be, and
Just clarification, so whoever we appoint today, the term would start in January, is that what the idea is? Or start
or
in
December, it would be December.
That's in the calendar.
I was saying the calendar year
The
too.
calendar year before.
Okay, so election will occur at the November. Oh,
For the subsequent calendar year.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So you guys wouldn't, everyone would sort of
We're-
stay for the rest of the,
Yeah, we are still theoretically
until,
until the end of 2023.
not that it changes a whole lot, but just for clarification.
and we could, when we have new members, we could have another vote. I mean, just because it's in November, we don't have to wait. We could, as a group, decide if we want to open that up. And if they're willing, maybe take minutes. I mean, you're not gonna hold on to that, right?
The simpler thing is, do we just table this for a month?
Yes, and if you know of anybody that's interested in roads, I tried to-
I keep pitching it to people and they look at me like, what?
they wanna do more exciting things like pathways and parks and, you know, land reservation. Roads is boring, not to me, but to them.
Yeah, let's not put that in the minutes.
Can we delete
Exciting
that?
dynamic group.
Can we delete that from the recording?
Yeah,
Probably.
it was a joke. Roads are fun. Okay, we'll table this, and please, I tried to recruit a new resident last night, and she's like, I'm gonna think about it. Like, okay,
Cause I guess also maybe by December, the reappointments may be known, I mean, will my term be renewed or the new people, so maybe not though, right?
I think that, I heard that it will be on the next board agenda.
Today, this might be my last meeting.
For here?
Maybe my term expires this month or next month.
So why? Because you started when everybody else started.
Yeah.
Well, because they're staggering terms. Or am I on here because I'm on,
You know, because you're on Pittsburgh.
yeah, so my P3 expires, I think that's what it is, yeah.
Well, Roy, you can go to the website and sign up as a resident to be on the road advisory committee.
You are an invaluable member. We would
So
strongly encourage you to continue to attend.
that's the process.
How are we going about finding the other two?
Sorry?
How are we going about finding two?
Well, one's gonna be the planning commission, which is Bob High, he just needs to be appointed. Or is he
No,
changed?
because there's nothing about liaisons anywhere.
Yeah, so what happened with
Well, this, we'll have to discuss it with the board, and I brought it up last night because, and that was only kind of a fluke that I ran into that. So it needs to either be a policy or we eliminate the whole liaison except for the board because it's already written in things. But I don't know where that came from. It's not in the PPP, it wasn't in TAP, it's not in the DDA, the bylaws, that's what so I don't know where that came from.
Somebody thought that it was in it, but it was mistaken. And it told him that he should come as a liaison, so there he was.
Yeah, and when I spoke with Bob, he's like, I said, well, Bob, sorry, regarding, I can't find anything about liaisons. He says, so as a resident, you can go and sign up. He's like, I really don't want to do this. And I said, okay, great. He would be great on here. Now, regarding how we're gonna get more, I have suggested to Joyce and I think Joyce is, because the deputy clerk is in charge of our quarterly newsletter, that should be in the newsletter every single time. And so if people apply and we don't have openings, at least we'll have a list of people that are interested. Instead of starting like, oh, now we have an opening, let's go solicit.
I don't know that there's that many people signing up.
There are people.
Well, I think the page is broken. I'm sending a copy of it to you now, Jillian.
We had somebody for the planning commission that I never even heard of. Oh, he lives in the Polo Fields. So his name is Jay Watt. Jay Watts? No? Okay. So he somehow found us.
Jan mentioned Monday night, she thought there were 5 people put their name in. Planning commission meeting. No, for the planning commission.
Okay, I only know of 4. I don't know who the 5th, but it's good. If that many. Okay, so we'll check on that later. Okay, so
I'm
we'll
sorry, where do we leave it with the liaisons? I think it's an important part of how the township organizes its volunteers. I hate to see that dropped. I don't know if everybody else agrees or not, but I hate to see it dropped.
So December 5th, there will be a strategic planning meeting. It's on a Saturday. It's from 9 to 4 if you are available. I know they invited the board and the chairs, but anybody that is interested in a plan. So we're trying to get the chairs together, the board, and figure out what we're doing as a township. And then, because if you're doing something over here and we're doing something over here, we all need to be in agreement or at least know. So this will get the ball rolling. And the liaisons, I think that would be a perfect topic for that day.
That's the key to keeping everybody informed. So those reports that people from other committees write, oh, okay, that's good enough.
Well, and the chairs can also, I've been suggesting the chairs of the committees meet once every two months or something, so we're all on the same page, and then, how it works, but I would like to see more of the community involved. If we can. Yeah, and the PPP didn't seem to have a problem. You have quite a few new people.
We were a new committee because obviously we had parks, we had TAP, and those dissolved, we created a new one.
Well, you have about, I can think of at least 3 that are brand new. How did you find them? Oh, okay.
I didn't regret it, they just one day, they showed up.
Your initial point was that nowhere in any of the language does it identify the requirement of a planning commission liaison to the roads.
Or any liaison.
Do we wish to try and make that change?
It will have to be right across the board in every committee. Because if we have it in ours, like in our charge, or our resolution, it says to work with the DDA, but that's not in the DDA's bylaws. They didn't even know we were supposed to be working with them. So this is something that I guess Mariah Fink is going through a lot of different things, our attorney, finding these issues that need to be cleaned up, and I don't know if she's gonna be going through the charges or the bylaws. I don't know what she's doing, but I know that she's cleaning up some things. So maybe you would want to bring that up to the DDA to include that in their bylaws that they work with the road advisory committee.
To amend the bylaws. We discussed making a time to have a collaborative. But we need to jointly with the two committees make that commitment. Is it a subcommittee or is it?
Well, they should have it in their bylaws if we're to work together. Yeah, because we'll show up at their meeting and say, hey, come on, and they'll say, what are you doing here?
Who are you?
Now they seem, and Linda, the other members on the DDA, are they liaisons to other committees? But you're on there as a member, not as a liaison.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
But I could, you know, we could ideally name me. We have Will Hathaway as our liaison technically, I guess, to the Board of Trustees, but no, we don't have a liaison to any of the other committees at
Okay.
all.
okay,
And nor is it in the chart, or the bylaws of the DDA,
okay,
which are very simple. Like page. It's very, very
interesting.
minimal.
Okay, well,
One hand, it's good to have them all tied together, but if you did that with all the committees, between the liaison, you almost ended up being, everyone, I mean, I'm just thinking like DDA, they're required to be somehow connected with the DDA. Then if you had those people outside be connected somewhere with roads and PP3 and, you know, all the different planning,
Constantly going to meetings.
it'd be, yeah, it'd be sort of, I mean, I like the idea of the concept, but I think it might also restrict because.
that was my
Is it-
point last night. Yeah,
I think you should be selective about it as well, the connections.
There's definitely a benefit, but it's also, you can't.
yeah, that's why I thought,
Restricts on who we, you know, it ends up being the same people go to all, they're on multiple committees.
yeah, and I think that's where Bob Hyde was coming from, is that, wow, and the planning commission is a lot of work, and to be on, you know, more, and I think he's on Huron River Watershed Council, and I'm just taking him for an example, but I think he was just feeling that that would be just too much. So that's why I was thinking about all of this, and if the chairs of the committees were to, you know, connect and then discuss what they're doing, and then the chairs could bring it back, that would narrow things down. But then, of course, you know, I guess this will just have to go back to the board or, you know, to the planning, the strategy sessions and figure out these different things. But no matter what, it needs to be in a policy, whatever we're gonna do. So everybody's on the same page and. Okay.
So H2, I think Bob made a, or I don't know if he made a resolution, but talked about tabling this. I don't know if we ever did anything with that. Right? I don't,
Motion to table.
Second,
Who's second?
second, you're Patrick?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any, oh, everybody said aye? Okay. So we're tabling that till December, at least? Okay. And then, Bob, you'll let us know.
As soon as I know.
Okay, so next are the minutes. Any changes?
I moved the October 4th minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So the next would be, let's see, reports. I've been including John Reiser's planning commission reports to the board. He's pretty thorough and he doesn't seem to mind, so. Until we figure out that situation, but.
I wouldn't mind at least giving an update a little bit. A project that sort of wasn't really in any, the Upland and South Ridge, it was sort of a TAP project, became sort of a park pathways project and also sort of a road project. End of the day, project actually did get done, And it was opened up this week, so there now are sidewalks that connect the 4 subdivisions over there, Uplands, Ravines,
Meadowlands, and
Meadowlands and
Hometown Village.
Hometown Village.
Yeah.
So I think people are using it, and
Lot
this
of
winter,
activity.
kids can actually walk on the sidewalk rather than having to walk in the road.
School bus.
Yeah, they catch the school bus and catch the AG bus, so,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to see, you know, there's a lot of different groups and committees putting together. And end of the day, it was, I think, it was ARPA funds, it was where it ended up getting funded, you know, but we did get something done, so it's like, you know, sometimes it's like, we ever get anything done, so
Yeah.
that's something we did get done, we can take credit for. It wasn't all this committee or RLP3, I think it was a lot of different committees in the township and different things, but it was nice to see that actually get done, get
That was
accomplished.
something we started talking about 5 years ago in TAP.
Right.
Oh, I think it was longer than that.
The other thing is we worked with AAATA and we've got better pads, safer pads for the bus drivers. So they actually had to stand in the road previously.
Yeah.
And there are 6 buses every hour that go up and down South Church.
Jeez.
And to have no places for, I mean, there's down by Chris Chang's house. There's a nice area, but other than that, there's no place to stand. So
It was really nice.
Yeah,
And just add, Patrick, and I don't know who this would fall on. So now you've got the bus pads. You need to have someone maintain the snow on the bus pads because the challenge is the road commission plows and then you've got this mountain between your bus pad and.
Well, there was an agreement with those HOAs to take care of the sidewalks and maybe they could also do the bus pads. I'll ask John Reiser.
But that would be one of those things that if you specify it, it would happen, but if you
Yeah.
don't, it will not.
right, right. It came up at the discussion that you chaired. People, members of a couple of communities asked, well, who's gonna shovel it? I said, you guys, the homeowners association. I'm like, what, huh?
Well, it's like somebody shovels in front of the mailboxes, you know, it's certain things that just have to happen.
Right. Unfortunately, the couple that lives there in their 80s, and both of them have health trouble, so they're not gonna do it.
Well, they,
Anyway, that would be the logical place is to have some, but that's not gonna
I
happen.
thought the HOAs were paying for snow removal.
We pay for just our roads, some people pay for sidewalks too.
No, you're talking in your neighborhood, not the new part. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in a neighborhood, the common areas, I mean, the sidewalks in front of everyone's home, they do. But the common areas, we have obviously a company mows that grass in the summertime and does the snow in the wintertime. I don't live in Ravines, I don't live in, what's the other one?
Meadowlands.
Meadowland.
Yeah.
You know, they have common areas, who mow, I mean, so that means they have a contractor to do that mowing or someone volunteers to do it, I guess, I really don't know, but generally, those same people that do mowing do winter maintenance, so you just hire them to do both those services, and it's not super expensive and just seems like
Yeah.
relatively inexpensive, you know, and obviously township, it's about $300,000, some number like that, to make this, so hopefully they could find the X dollars a year to
Yeah,
keep those open for their residents.
I'll talk to the president of our HOA about that, because you're exactly right. And then John is on the board in the ravines.
Yeah, I'll mention that to
And
him.
the ravines and the Meadowlands, I mean, they share a common road.
But there's open space on both sides, you know, so I think someone must mow that, I know someone mows it because it's mowed.
Right.
Take care of, you know, they have.
Yeah, and regarding the elderly couple, would neighbors be able to pitch in for them?
Maybe there's a person that, when I was president of the homeowners association, we gave him a cap as a director of public works. He just takes care of that stuff.
Oh,
And he lives in that cul-de-sac.
okay,
So
good.
Tom might be ideal. Anyway, I'll at least on the upland side,
Okay,
thanks a
yeah,
lot.
you know, that's,
Appreciate you bringing that up too.
It's timely.
Yep.
I will write that down for Riser too. I'm sure that they have something, but yeah, and it is in our ordinance that parcel owner is, if you have a sidewalk, is responsible for that portion of the sidewalk. It's just the gaps that get us in trouble, but, okay, Linda, I had a question regarding your, Roy, anything else? I'm sorry.
I guess one other thing, Parks, Pathways, and Preserves. Van Curler Preserve, township's owned for 8+ years, I believe. And it's land between Huron River Drive and Joy Road, just sort of north of Huron, Dexter Huron Metro Park. And it goes all the way up to Joy. It's a big parcel. If you walk it, reminds you, if you've ever been in Bird Hills, the topography up and down. And later, last August, July, maybe September, they had a couple of interns. We had 4 interns at Park Pathways and Preserves this summer. They cut a 1.7-mile loop in there. We're in the process of putting a parking lot off of Joy Road. So it'll be a parking lot and then a 1.7-mile loop.
How big is the lot? Cars?
Big enough for school buses or just parking?
I think it's by 6 cars, probably not a school bus. And hopefully it's under construction right now. Some issues getting all the permits. But if you get a chance, when that gets done, it's a gorgeous preserve that's out, and I think we've owned it for a long time and no one even knew about it. I mean, some people did, but the community as a whole, now they put this walking loop in there. There's some really mature trees in there and a lot of topography, and it's a nice hike in the fall, in winter, same thing. So get a chance, I'll let you know when the parking lot's done. But it was nice the interns were able to put this hiking trail, it's a nice 1.7-mile loop, so it's substantial. Our goal eventually is to have it connected. You'll be able to walk from Dexter Huron Metro Park, across Huron River Drive and into it that way. Right now, our connection is just off of Joy Road, so we've got to get to it from both
Kind of a
directions.
steep hill there, isn't it?
No, there's actually a driveway.
Oh,
There was a driveway, the Van Curler family, when they owned it.
Ah,
There's
got
a
it.
driveway up here. Drive.
So is there a parking lot on Joy Road?
There will be, it's under construction.
That part's under construction. Okay, so there was something in the past about, was there another parking lot and then a crosswalk to go over to?
Yeah, so the plan is meeting with, using Huron Clinton Metro Park's parking area. And then we just make a walkway with a crosswalk on Huron River Drive to get there. Cause there's really no way to put a parking lot off of Huron River Drive.
Oh, okay.
But there would be a way to put a big block crossing there, so that you can just walk from the Metro Park and over to the Van Curler
Okay.
Township Park. So.
Yeah, I remember something about that, but there was some issues or. Okay, yeah, that's good to know.
It would be great to, advertise more of the successes. I don't know if it's the quarterly newsletter or on the website, or put up a sign that said this is provided to you by, the volunteers at Scio Township.
Busy. I agree.
We were talking about how do you get people involved, make them aware.
So
When-
in the previous roads committee, when we finished a project, we put a sign up that said, project done by Scio Township, something under. But it was just a way to say, this is your dollars at work.
It's what I understand. It should be somewhere. I mean, whether it comes up on the webpage, just saying completed in such and such, we completed the uplands, the preserve, just so people see it. If you only put it up in that particular area, unless you drive by, you don't know.
Right. It's a good point.
Right, for the PPP, well, Anna's the Parks Director, so is she, trying to remember the last newsletter, did she have an article?
I believe so.
Yeah, because she could promote that, but also on the web page.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're having issues with the website, by the way. So we're
I agree with Linda. I mean, yeah, I hear a lot of stories, but it's good to get that positive, the things we have done successfully in 2023.
Well, just bring it up, in the committee and say it's $150 by the time you buy the sign, you get the post, you get somebody to put it in the ground, but I think it's well worth the effort to do it.
okay. Linda,
You had a question about the DDA?
yeah, let me find it. Okay, the Pizza Hut building.
Empty.
No, I know.
Improvised Pizza Hut building?
It was brought up last night again. I mean, it's almost as, remember the movie Young Frankenstein, whenever they said Frau Blucher and then the horse neighed. Every time I hear that Pizza Hut, I hear that horse. Anyway, it is under legal review and they're trying to get the owners to take care of it. They're out of state, so it's a little bit harder. Maybe, okay, so under old business, and maybe we already covered this, DDA roads, Dino Drive, Stabler, all of that, request this is what request September motion memorandum be presented to board by Supervisor Hathaway. What does that mean?
In our September DDA meeting, we made a motion that said the DDA had allocated funds to pay for 1/2 of that. And we were encouraging the township board to create a millage for that zone.
Oh, for the whole zone?
Well, for that street, for those property owners, or a special assessment district. Instead of asking them to participate, tell them that they were participating in one.
Oh, for Dino Drive.
Yes.
So it was specifically Dino Drive.
Yes.
Okay, they listed all the roads here. So that's where I got a little, I was like, yes, and Will did bring up about,
So he was supposed to read a motion that had been created by the DDA and put it up in front of the board. And it hadn't happened, so he will be bringing it, not this next meeting, but the meeting after.
okay, yes,
Forward.
he mentioned it last night, but there was not a motion. Okay. Okay, I just wanted to be clear because you have all the roads listed here, so you must be just discussing all of them, but focusing in on Dino Drive. And again, which it comes back to imposing a special assessment, but then there, with the millage, potentially those would be covered with that. What's that talked about? Could you bring that up, please, and see what the feedback is at least?
Our next meeting is January. Yes.
January, okay. Oh, and that was it. Yeah, a lot of the reports have nothing to do with roads, but it's still good to know what is being discussed, but that popped out, just wanted to be clear. Okay, so as I said, since we had our board meeting last night, I did do a little report, I sent it out, I misspelled Chris's name, Chris Chang. And I know how to spell his name, I don't know why that happened, but anyway, there's an updated report, and I did upload it into the website, and also with the signed resolution, which I did print if anybody wants to read it. Or did you print that? Because I think you just referenced it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that will also be uploaded to, unless Mary already did that, to our section or in the website. So we're good. We accomplished something. And let's see. Oh, I guess that's it. Anything else? Should we?
The only other thing I just
Oh, go
wanted to
ahead.
mention, we, at the DDA meeting this week, had a presentation by Ann Arbor Spark, which is a group that is charged with trying to bring more businesses to the area. The DDA actually pays a stipend to Spark every year to encourage them to work with Scio Township roads and pull their interest this direction. And as a part of that, Spark is obliged to do some things which we ask, one of which is assisting with grant applications. And we were looking at some grant applications over the summer that we said, gee, it would be great if we could get that, but there's nobody at the township that can do that, and there's none of us that know anything about it. But apparently, we could bring that to Spark and ask their grant associate to assist, and it wouldn't be 100 hours that they would volunteer, but there is a certain number of hours that they would give to us as Scio Township committee. So it's something to bear in the future.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, would love to take advantage of grants. Yeah, and we're
It's
stuck.
just an avenue.
Yeah, oh, that's good to know.
Something in Chris's job description too.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
It's the bottom of the first page.
That's right. He does have some experience, and Joyce has experience as well. So now we have options. Before we were,
We had ideas and names.
yeah, right, lots of frustrating ideas. This is exciting, so things are, and, oh, in my report, we did hire an HR person, which she'll start, Aurora Northrup is her name, she'll start in the next couple weeks, so that will help a lot with the employees, making sure everything's, set regarding whatever they need. And then we have a new building maintenance person, Kevin Jeffries. I don't know if you all knew Harold. He was very quiet. You would hardly know he was here in the building. He retired. He was here for 26 years. So now we have a new guy that's, I think he's gonna work out well. So we're getting things up to speed here in the township. Chris Bailey, our IT person, that was the last meeting, not last night, but the meeting before. He's presented what is needed for the township to be up to speed with our IT. We are very, very behind 1990s. So he's working really hard. And so if there's any glitches with Zoom or other things, it's because we're going through this transition. And he's always available. Just call him and leave a message if you have problems. But yeah, and ARPA grant or our ARPA funds paid for that portion, 165,000.
Can I just brought up, so we had a horrible time with our Zoom connection at the DDA meeting this week. Is there, I know that you have co-chairs, but is there a person that besides you has the login for the RAC or so that if we need to have an additional person start the Zoom for our meetings, it's written down somewhere? Do we want to make a manual or something that is?
We've talked, actually Christy and I talked about that yesterday and today. So
Might be an easier way to.
yes, and then anybody will be able to, so DDA, go in, look at your login. You'll have to have the email address because Zoom likes to send, a verification. And then you'll be able to log in. You should have the same Zoom link every single meeting. So assigned to that. So you shouldn't have to go through setting up anything. And then you just plug that right into your agenda and you're good to go.
Just a suggestion, if we could get it written down, it's.
Oh, yeah, or if, let's say you were sitting in another meeting and they need help, you'll be able to go into PPP and help them if need be. But it should be that simple. The other thing, I have discussed this with Joyce, and I know she's discussed it with others, to hire somebody to, or more than one, to run Zoom. So we have a lot of meetings, and to find somebody, Christy usually does it, or Chris will, but if they're not available, and they have it like a small stipend, and then have a schedule, so they're not always at every single meeting, maybe there's 4 people and they can rotate, but just to make sure it's covered. And if there's issues that somebody else would know how to solve those issues, but how long have we been doing Zoom? We shouldn't be having these problems. But then how long?
And yet. But simple things like passwords are easily solved, so that
Yes.
was just a suggestion.
So it's just, we're.
I have Jillian's. So tonight we were struggling. We get here both at 6 to get ready. And the Zoom was asking for a multi-factor authentication code. So, and Jillian couldn't get her in her email, so I have access. I got in. So we've got some redundancy already. Is it perfect?
But if we have new chairs, which we're electing in December, it needs to be written down so it can be passed off.
Absolutely.
I remember my heart just going out to you, you were chair, and you were trying to manage a meeting and manage the technology and stuff would happen. It's hard to keep focused on the important thing because you've got all these problems up there. So
It was spring and we had people who wanted to talk to us about roads that were potholed and bad.
Yes, you jumped through a lot of hoops.
And in the planning commission, Laura Krebs usually runs the Zoom, but
she
that's
does the
hard
same
for.
thing with ZBA.
Yeah, and it's hard for her to focus on what she needs to present while she's monitoring everybody. So this is, we're getting there. Just,
it's a complex tool with a lot of settings.
Mhm.
It just is. And
And then when they change the settings,
It's always good to have Rob Pattinson on the call.
yeah,
He-
thanks Rob, but he texts me if it goes down, so that's why I've got my phone here, so. Cause you don't know.
Call him the deep voice from above.
so,
Rob's hand.
Are we all
no,
set?
Rob's thumb just went up.
Okay.
yeah, public comment,
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
but no
Paying
more,
attention.
any more discussion on anything? Okay, so public comments, do we have hands?
Let me, I can't see it there, but it's easier up here. Rob, if you'd like to, thank you. Didn't that come up in a meeting previously and it was December, early December?
Yeah,
Was the
and
last we heard?
there was something in MLive this week that said it would be, the road, I don't know if it was 94 that will be shut down, or if Liberty Road will be shut down, something's gonna be shut down, and I think it's over a weekend.
Liberty.
Yeah,
I mean, the bridge deck's done, the barrier's done, they lifted the temporary concrete barriers. So I'm thinking it's gonna be sooner versus later, so I mean, obviously they got the beam on, obviously they got the bridge deck poured, they got the barrier poured. So it's getting close, I don't have a specific date, but all those things are in place, and those concrete barriers that were separating you so you didn't fall off the bridge are removed as of there today. So I would think it's gonna be sooner versus, I would think before December, I would think sooner, but it's an MDOT project, so it's keep your ears peeled to their updates.
yeah, we don't get informed, I mean, other than,
And
You know,
people
somebody-
driving through, right?
yeah, so that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else, public comment, would like to make public comment? Please raise your hand. I am not seeing any.
Nope. Okay,
Move to adjourn,
yeah, what time do we have?
8:09.
8:09.
8:09 on Apple time.
Okay, and we will meet December 6th
Something like that.
at 6:30.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Jillian, any
Is there a motion
issues
to adjourn? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
with me
yes.
inviting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, yeah. All in favor?
All approved?
All in favor?
Yes. Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
So I was thinking about inviting Chris to participate with, to sit down with Ian and me, to look at the special